Growing up, my parents told me I could be anything I wanted to be. I could be president. And one early morning in 1978, my mom woke me up and handed me a white outfit. And we got on a bus with a bunch of her friends, also wearing white, and we drove from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, down to Washington, D.C. to march for the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment. And since then, it seemed like the possibilities for women would just continue to rise. And in some ways, they have. More women are in leadership positions than ever before. Corporations know that when they've got women on their boards, they'll be more profitable. And companies even have a position now called Head of Diversity. And did anyone see Wonder Woman this weekend? I saw it. It is a badass female character lead, and it was the highest grossing movie for a female director ever. So, I mean, Wonder Woman. But there's still so much working against us. Women still earn 79 cents on the dollar. Our reproductive rights are constantly in question. And when we do make babies, our careers are penalized. Congress, which is supposed to represent 100% of us, still only has 20% women. And we elected a misogynist as our president. Come on, smile, ladies. You look so much prettier that way. Anyway, a couple of years ago, I started to notice the amount of conversation happening about women in the media. Everywhere you looked, women were trending. But the remarkable thing was, most of this conversation was about women, and hardly anyone was talking with women. So that's what we do on Inflection Point, because we are at an inflection point. That moment when things are going up and then they take that little dip downward and then they skyrocket. So on this show, we peel back the layers and we talk with women who act when something isn't working, who defy the naysayers and go against the grain, and step up to create change. On Inflection Point, we find out how women rise up, and most importantly, how we can apply what they've learned to our own lives. Because
this could be the door opening, the window opening. And I think we've got to see it as such, and we've got to do everything in our power now not to let that window close again.
this is our moment, Eve Ensler, and we are shifting the entire paradigm.
I decided that I needed to learn to live more from my feminine side. And all my friends said, "Are you kidding? You're so feminine." And I said, "Well, it may look that way to you, but on the inside, I can tell you the way I've navigated my adult life has been through what I experience as my more masculine qualities. You know, I've relied heavily on my intellect, on my analysis, and my capacity for strategic thinking, and my strong body and ability to power through and be persevering at all costs."
Nina Simons founded Bioneers, an organization focused on solving the world's most pressing environmental and social challenges, convening at an annual conference featuring innovative leaders. When Nina was in her 30s, she was acknowledged by the Etne Reader for being an up-and-coming leader herself. But she was horrified, and she wanted to understand why it felt so bad.
If I don't want to be a leader in that old model, in that inherited model that I didn't like, that seemed aggressive and dominating and charismatic, but putting other people down, I don't know, I had all kinds of associations like that, then I thought, well, who are the leaders that really inspire me? So let me get clear about that. And what are they doing that I could emulate and perhaps grow into?
And realizing that women have something more to offer, it changed her entire perspective on leadership.
The leaders that are being prized now are being appreciated for their capacity to listen, for their open-mindedness, for their ability to stay calm in stressful and challenging situations, for their emotional and relational intelligence.
Or another way to put it,
The bird of humanity has been trying to fly with only one wing for far too long.
you notice how I wasn't going anywhere? Another woman we'll hear from this season is Laura Weidman Powers.
And I would find myself all the time in rooms with just a really shocking lack of diversity. And the narrative at the time was, well, that's because that's what the talent looks like. And there just aren't talented people of color to hire for these sorts of roles. And that just rang totally false to me. I mean, I grew up amidst diversity, both my neighborhood, my schools. The tech company I was at the time was actually quite diverse, so I was sort of in the middle of kind of a model that refuted that theory, but that was the narrative.
When Laura came to Silicon Valley, in what was supposed to be the land of innovation and entrepreneurship, where anyone can succeed, outside of where she was working, she found a shocking lack of diversity. This stood out as a problem to her for two reasons. One, soon every job will be a tech job.
We think about tech today as this sector, but really, if you think about it, it's going to be the entire economy in the future. You know, car companies are tech companies today, media companies are tech companies today. So we think the stakes are pretty high to get this right and to actually open up pathways for folks to succeed, both in the companies that exist and in building new companies, the companies that will be dominating the industry in the future.
And Laura told me that the year 2040 is the start of the decade when people of color will be the majority in the United States.
And if we're shutting Black and Latinx people out of technology today, that's effectively shutting us out of the economy tomorrow.
Laura founded Code 2040 to change the entire system and bring more Black and Latinx leadership into tech. So tune in to that one. In the upcoming season of Inflection Point, you'll also meet women like Leanne Meyer, who teaches women how to negotiate for themselves, and Sabah Folayan, who dropped everything in New York City to drive to Ferguson because she did not like the way the media was covering the protests. And Nancy Nemi, a professor at Yale, who asks whether it's time for women to question the value of a college education. And Whitney Bell, who was sick of men sending her crotch shots and decided to do something about it. I learn something every time I talk with these women, and you'll be inspired too. I know this is hitting home when I get comments like this. After getting advice from people to just accept the terms of the way things are, I think it takes a stronger person to advocate for change and do what they truly believe in. But the real reason I do this, I want to make a difference too, and the more women's stories we can share, the closer we can get to equality. So I do it for my dad, who showed me that I could be anything I wanted to be. And I do it for my mom, who took me to that ERA march. And I do it for my daughters, Mia and Tilden. The new season starts this month, so for all you women and men out there who want to be inspired from KALW San Francisco and PRX, this is Inflection Point. I'm Lauren Schiller. Thank you.